If the recent events don't have you concerned in regards to communication and network outages and whatnot, well, you may have to start rethinking what is that you are doing. Because essentially, we're going to have to start preparing to be in the dark. And I don't mean in the dark as the power goes out, well, it's a possibility, but in the dark as communication goes. And this is a topic that a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't want to hear another video of getting ball fan radios and whatnot. This is not going to be it. I'm not here to tell you what to do. You do what is right for you and what is right for your family. If you are a fan of ball fans, if you are a fan of two-way radios, by all means, as you guys can see, well, I have them. So I use them. What I'm here to tell you is that you need to develop a plan, a contingency in case of the power goes out, in case of the network goes out, because there is nothing more unsettling or scary they just don't know. One of the things that Castro did in Cuba when things got a little bit dicey, or when he noticed that people were getting a little riled up and whatnot, is he shut down communications. A lot of times, even the regular phones, the people who have phones in their houses, landlines, that after I hear the outage that happened with AT&T and Verizon and whatnot, a lot of people are like, oh, you need to get landlines. Well, we talked in this channel before that the actual president has the power to shut things down. It does. He does. But nonetheless, in Cuba, that's what they did. They shut down communications completely. You can pick up the phone, the line was dead. What makes you think that that is not going to happen here? Well, it could happen. Obviously, the phones didn't work. For those of us who work on hotspots for communication to make videos and whatnot and to share information, some people were unable to do it. I did not lose service, so I'm not gonna stand here and tell you all, yeah, I lost service and I had to come back to my other devices and my alternative way of communication. That did not happen to me. It did not. I did not lose my AT&T. This is Cricket. This is not AT&T, but it's the same service. And I did not lose Verizon at all. So I'm not going to come here and tell you all that I was affected. I was not. But it should, give you an idea of the things that can happen. Now, for us, it's very simple. We always using the little radios around here and whatnot. Simple enough, y'all. Sometimes I get tired of carrying the phone, to be honest. It's a lot easier for me to, when I'm working outside and whatnot, just press a little button and say, hey, sweetie, can you bring me some water? Or she checks on me and, hey, are you okay? When Wallace is playing outside, beep, beep, hey, are you okay? That just makes sense for us. And we don't have to pay a single dime for it. So we use two-way radios all the time around here, but limitations. Two-way radios are limited in range. Now, for us, it works perfectly fine in our 2.5 acres here in Fairbanks, Alaska. I mean, it just works. Ball fan radios, a little extension when it comes to range. You need a license and whatnot to transmit. So things get complicated. I also have the inReach. This is a satellite device. We do pay a monthly fee. I think it's like $22. And we can text, and it has maps and all of that stuff. That's what I use for hunting and camping and whatnot. And this one right here, I put it down, but most of the times you guys see it in here. If you see enough videos, you see it in here all the time. This is a GMRS radio 2. I have one of those installed permanently in my truck. I have two more that I have to install. One in the Explorer, one in Mrs. D, and I am thinking about putting one in the Argo. Thinking. Of course, they're not, like $20. They're about $150. But to me, it just makes sense having that two-way communication all the time. Now, why I'm saying all of this, because these are ideas of things that you can have. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't get a single penny from anybody. I'm just showing you what I use. And I said that I was not going to be talking about ball fans, that you need to use them and whatnot. Completely up to you. You do whatever you want. But here's the thing. When the power went out in Cuba, we were in the dark, truly in the dark. When communications went down, phone-wise, we were further in the dark. It is heartbreaking not to know what's going on. Imagine that you have a friend that is not your neighbor, that it lives 5 or 6 blocks away. Most of the times, what we have to do is walk to make sure that our family members were okay because the power went out. The power went out in Cuba for several hours. Sometimes, not all the time, but in rare occasions, they went out for a full 24 hours. And how will you know when they come back? You had no power. You couldn't see the news. That's another thing. If you don't see the news, you don't know what's going on. Essentially, you are completely and 100% in the dark because you don't have information coming in. You have a blackout of information, meaning that the world can end and you don't know. So how can you make an educated decision on things when you are in the dark when it comes to communication or information, that is? You see what I'm saying? That's something that I want everybody to think. If you are in the city, honestly, you have an advantage of those of us who live on the countryside because you have so many people around that you can communicate a lot more with those around you. Those of us who live in the countryside, we need to make other arrangements, higher antennas and whatnot so we can reach farther away. That being said, you all need to be aware that this is, it happened twice already. What makes you think that it's not going to happen a third time? I'm leaving a whole bunch of links in the description below so you guys can go see it. It is not just an American thing. It is happening all over the world. So we all need to start paying a lot more attention of what is going on with this whole thing in regards to communication. Another thing that I want to recommend everybody to have is have a little radio. Listen, sometimes the old technology is the way to go. Having a small radio, receiving information and letting you know what is going on in the world, at least it will bring you some peace of mind. Now, my recommendation is have some preset radio stations that you listen to. My best advice to you is AM radios. Those can go further away than not FM radios. Some radio stations do have backup power, so in case the power goes out, they still can transmit, at least saying, hey, the world hasn't ended, it's just an outage that we're having. At least that way you know that it's not the end of the world. And that's exactly what we did in Cuba. A lot of times we went back to the radios, we listened to what was going on. Most of the time the radio stations will be like, all right, in such and such area there is a power outage and it's going to probably last 3 hours. Things like that. A lot of folks are very accustomed to go online and just make sure that everything is there. And we have great tools online. However, if that gets cut off because of a network outage or if a power outage, then we all need to do something different to get the information in. Again, make a plan. I'm giving you options so you can, develop something that it fits you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to show you the things that I do in case something does happen and in case that I lose power or I lose the ability to communicate or to know what is going on around the world. So let me know what you're doing in order to mitigate network outages. It's not just in America. I want to emphasize that it's not just in America. It is happening all over the world. And I encourage you to see the links that I'm leaving in the description below. So with that being said, I hope you have a great one. Like always, rock on, prep on, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.